Alright, looks like we're making a video, and so I thought I would play one of these, at least of these holiday videos, where he says function of recognizing harm and function of preventing harm to self ahead of time. And I guess he's going to pretend that that function doesn't have to do with a logical process. Yeah, well anyway. So, in overview, it's just like if you were to sit there and be obligated to start with a blank slate and describe reality. And you see a bunch of planets and stars, okay, there's galaxies, there's a big friggin' universe. We'll give you some basic facts. And there's a process of evolution, and you're one of these byproducts of this process, and you have this brain and you have this consciousness. And it's clearly an outstanding feature, the fact that you can feel with such variety, in the sense that there's a great difference between your best feeling and your worst feeling. Just a cavern, huge amount of distance between those two things in terms of their variety, their difference. And it is more difference than you can find in any other dimension that you can imagine, in terms of the distance between those things. And the distance is all made out of something that you would call value. The difference is in the difference between the word good and bad, hot and cold, plus and minus. The difference is that extreme. And I don't see how anybody rational doesn't notice that as an outstanding feature, that it makes these things, being one of these things, substantially different than being any of the other crap in the universe. 99.9999999% of the universe is doing something totally meaningless. And there seems to be every indication that something else is happening here that's substantially different. And again, to convert the perception of those feelings as being this, being nothing meaningful, no, as if it doesn't exist at all. It has no, we should take no notice. It is just another wind blowing. It's just a rock falling. It's just a sun burning. It's nothing else to see here. It's just an incredible denial of facts, personally experienced. And you're just saying, why? Why is somebody doing this? And again, I've pointed out the obvious reason they're doing this is because, yes, it's a way of evading unpleasant realizations that you are caught up in a game. And the game has no winner, because in a sense, you will live in the world you create in the future, in a sense. Your victims will exist, and they'll exist just as real as you're existing. And if you don't protect them, they're going to have they're going to experience a bad time. And that's going to be a real thing that happened in the universe. It's going to be a real event. And it's just a fact that hardship is real. It's a real thing. It has real significance. And for somebody to say it doesn't is just, frankly, insane. So I don't know why exactly I'm making a response videos to insane people, but I'm doing it. Because every version of it there's all kinds of versions of this anticontavadia, and this is just a version of this nihilist, insane bullshit where people are just forcing reality to conform to their bullshit wishes. I need the universe to be free from consequence so I can escape my responsibility. Just that simple.
So yes, I ought to append that even because inmendham used the words just at the end of his video there, that he notes that, and he likes to label it, strawman me, as if I'm saying, this is an exception, that this doesn't happen. He says, like we don't do it ahead of time. So even recognizing that a certain path will lead to my hand being in the water.
Yeah, it's logic that leads you there. So again, you're pretending that this isn't something we can logically understand, and that you obey that logic. You obey the simple logic that you know the difference between you feeling bad and you feeling good. You know the difference matters, and you logically account for that in your behavior. And it's just, you're again just denying the existence of it so you don't have to apply it to any bigger picture than yourself. You can convert that logical equation into some sort of personal equation, and that's all that matters. And you can call yourself neurotic, or you can say, I'm just being an idiot to give a shit. Well, go ahead and say that. And we know that if you had to invest in that, if after you kill yourself, which you plan to do, and you go to some place, okay, where you're going to have decisions to make about pressing buttons, let's say, and one of the buttons is that, yeah, you live a zillion years tortured on the rack. You're not going to press the button, and you goddamn know it. There's, so why are you pretending that you think it really doesn't matter? Because you do know it matters. Because you take care of yourself, and you do it because it's logical to do it, because you know the penalty is high for not doing it. And this is just such a pile of crap that you're pretending you're not applying logic to the simple equation that you know the difference between good and bad. You know the difference between comfortable and uncomfortable, and you're just pretending that for my sake, to evade any responsibility for my existence, I will just pretend that doesn't apply to the rest of the conscious organisms on this planet or in the universe. And it's just a pile of crap. It's an evasion of responsibility.
Yeah, the machinery learns, which is just a word to point towards something the machinery did. That it said, and the machinery made me after learning.
Again, logic is a word that has a meaning, and frankly, you can turn the word into some other nonsense, but the word is based on combining facts, and that the rules are they can't be contradictory. There's rules of logic. So again, you're just evading what the concept of logic is. It's not just some kind of knee jerk. In the sense of doing proper logic will always end up to the same conclusion if you have enough facts. So clearly it's only when you have marginal facts that logic can lead you to two different conclusions. It's only when the facts are weak is two different conclusions possible. So yeah, the rules of logic are pretty narrow because the facts are essentially going to dictate the conclusion. And I'm clearly pointing out how your fact set is full of duplicity and hypocrisy. Your facts are not consistently applied. You don't seem to be able to understand the word same unless it's to your advantage. And you don't understand that the word same means something because the things that are the same have to be treated the same. If you treat them different, then they're obviously not the same. I mean, we've been over this part, but I mean, this is just such crap.
A hard lesson. My mum said, don't touch the iron. It's very hot. You know what I did? I did it as a kid. I touched that iron. Oh, I never did it again. Yeah?
Yeah, we know if it was a glass of, radium or something, you wouldn't have drunk it. So, yeah, we all test the world. Okay, in very controlled ways, and you know it's in very controlled ways. And that if you're really hanging over the edge of the Grand Canyon or something, and somebody said, why don't you try falling? You'd know, oh yeah, that's probably an experiment I'm not going to survive, so I won't play with that one. So again, more logic is applied and you're pretending it's not logic. Yes, it is logic. You logically weigh. Risk analysis is a logical process. So again, just more bullshit that somehow this doesn't have to do with you assessing facts and balancing them, weighing them in some sort of reasonable way. And when of course that's what it's full of. So just more denial of overtly obvious facts.
Because the machinery fed into the machinery and configured machinery that always prevents me doing it again.
That's not what prevents you from doing it again. You might do it again tomorrow just for the fun of it because you know how to do a trick. You know, lick your finger and then touch the iron because oh yeah, it's fun. You know, so you'll do it in very controlled ways based on your knowledge of the physics and the physical consequences. So again, just keep pretending that somehow you don't learn anything, and that somehow you don't apply your previous experience knowledge as facts, and you apply those facts and analyze those facts in a perfectly logical way to protect yourself from harm. So let's just keep pretending you're not doing that when of course you're doing that all the time, every day. So you're just a liar.
There's no get out because the machinery stopped me doing something ahead of time.
Again, the machinery didn't stop anything. Logic stopped it, okay? The cat and the dogs, the other animals, they don't have our fact set. They can't gain a whole bunch of previous experience knowledge in any kind of complex way. They don't understand the round wheels and the functions and the friction, and they don't understand the physics. So they can't gain any benefits, the huge benefits we can gain from these experiences. So again, you're pointing out that no, it can be demonstrated that this isn't a knee-jerk response in the sense that the knee-jerk has to have it has to be programmed by factual experiences, by gaining knowledge of function. Without the knowledge of the function, you can't do it. You can't do math without experience doing math. You can't play the piano without experience playing the piano. So this is just just more preposterous bullshit.
I can call it a word and say it analyzed it. I analyzed it. I valued my.
No. The facts dictated your decision. The facts are what you assessed. The facts clearly included the fact that you're going to have an unpleasant experience, and that was a very important fact. And you're just pretending it's not a very important fact in any other circumstance than when it has something to do with me. You're just a selfish nihilist cunt, okay? Just negating other people's welfare for your own benefit.
My sentient valuation status. I can do all these words to it, but when we get down to it, and if we both play by the same rules and understandings that I'm just a cog in machine, then.
So again, you just keep saying it as if the machine isn't programmed to do logic, when I already made this argument. So just ignore the perfectly salient argument made that the function of the machine is to understand accurately what's going on in the world, not inaccurately. That's what makes us functional. So millions of years, hundreds of millions of years of evolution haven't created us to see fake things. We see real things. And that's what the brain is programmed to do. And the clear mechanism is this whole reward and punishment mechanism, and it's as real. The whip is as real as it could be, and you're just pretending. You're just sitting there like some lunatic in the as a slave, some slave who just tells all the other slaves, hey, it's a matrix, man. There is no spoon. There's no whip. Yeah, sure there isn't. You fucking idiot.
If that's the agreement and that's the base level, then all that other shit is just words attached to it.
Well, again, there's a clear correlation between knowledge and product, okay? You have to have knowledge of the engineering skill to make a nuclear power plant that doesn't melt down. You have to have knowledge of how to drive a car and the weight of the car and all kinds of knowledge to be able to drive the car successfully. The clear correlations between the fact that information is what makes for a better result in terms of completing a task, if we're just going to call it a task, and that it's the information that improves the quality of the performance. And clearly all the information you're using to make these value decisions are clearly relevant to the fact that you have value experiences. You've experienced them, you know them, you've tasted them, you've smelled them, and you know the ones that smell like shit and the ones that don't. And this is just all bullshit to say it doesn't have something to do with your knowledge of the difference between good and evil, so to speak, or the right and wrong, or harmful and beneficial. You do know those differences, and you're just playing the game to evade responsibility to apply that same judgment to the rest of the world, because that's work and you don't want the job. You're just evading your duty. You're like some asshole during wartime, who just says, well, I'm only one soldier. I can't do anything. I won't make a difference, so I'm going to go hide. Yeah. Everybody knows what happens if everybody gets to do that.
Now, again, one of Inmendham's favourite sidesteps, as everybody likes to sidestep my pure logic, as I see it, they'll say, oh, there's no point talking to you then if you'll not accept that. Well done.
Again, I am talking to you, but I'm just saying I've explained what you are. You're a psychopath, okay? You're a fucking psychopath. This is the philosophy of axe murderers, child molesters, every evil, nasty fucking cunt that's ever existed has wallowed in your bullshit philosophy that I can negate the existence of harm as long as it's happening to somebody else. That's all you are. You're a despicable piece of shit. Yes. But I'm not evading your argument by saying that. I find you so fucking repugnant. Just a fact, fuckhead.
That might be how your machinery chugs, and you might well say that again. I can't predict ahead of time, but I've noticed that that's an abandoning of the argument.
Again, that's just that's another one of your fucking lies and evasions. I'm not evading your argument at all. I'm saying how do I make any sense out of it all? I'm a conscious organism. You're telling me this silly story that it doesn't matter if society decided to torture me forever, keep me alive. They injected me with, zombie fluid and keep me alive forever, and they tortured me for fucking ever. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. No harm done. Hating them would be silly, or being mad or offended in some way would be just ridiculous, because they certainly didn't do anything bad to me. Nothing bad happened in the universe if I was tortured. Right, I'm supposed to listen to that tripe and say that makes sense somehow? Fuck you. I mean, this is in the context of how, people are so paranoid and so overprotective in so many ways, so fucking run by fear. And here you are playing this game, and somehow you have the right answer because you somehow negated everybody else's welfare except your own. And again, it's only your grotesque hypocrisy that I'm really arguing with. If you demonstrated to me how you honestly don't give a fuck about your welfare, and that you don't care about being strapped into the gurney and tortured forever, show me that you just don't care about being tortured. Instead, you're telling me, I'm scared that I might live too long and experience something I don't want to experience, so I have to kill myself because I have to evade having harm happen to me. Well, and you're sitting there saying I'm not supposed to think this is a ridiculous hypocrisy?
Is admitting that your machinery has nothing to do substantially that can engage with my machinery through...
This has nothing to do with machinery. It has to do with identifying whether something has the properties that entitle it to the awareness that its welfare matters. Now, I've given myself those properties and said I have properties that mean my welfare matters. And then when I did an honest evaluation, I couldn't evade the truth that yeah, the other humans are doing what I'm doing. They don't like having broken legs, and they don't like having headaches or stomach aches. They don't like having cancer. They don't like having all the shit I don't like, pretty much. And then I also recognize that the other sentient animals are, you know, all they are is ignorant. They just can't do mathematics. I have no excuse to degrade the quality of their capacity to be tormented or to be terrified or to be all the same emotional things I can be and the same horrible, painful things I can experience. I have no reason to believe they aren't fully capable of experiencing all of those value experiences, and all they are is, yeah, they can't do some math. Oh, gee. You know, and they're mute. Oh, so I should pretend because they can't scream in a way that I identify with, that somehow they're not worthy of my concern. And then we already know that you're already another duplicitous hypocrite, in the sense that you can certainly sense your dog's devotion and his affection for you. And you can certainly understand that the dog is experiencing a rather rich experience, and here you are pretending that these other animals that have the same properties aren't entitled to the same love, concern, worry. Bullshit. They have the same properties. I've already made these arguments over and over again, and you just won't admit the hypocrisy. I'm not telling you aren't allowed to love your son more than other people's kids. I'm just arguing that if you're going to do this intellectual honesty thing, all right, then you have to admit that's because of clearly and only because of a bias in your perception. That's clearly just emotional bigotry that comes from your biological bullshit machine, and it has nothing to do with you doing a fair evaluation and saying, what are the properties of my son, and what are the properties of my neighbor's son, and what are the properties of that son living in Romania, and what are the properties of that son living in Africa. And aren't all of those sons just as deserving? Don't they have exactly the same properties in terms of potential or cuteness or attractiveness or any of this other bullshit? They fit the category. And if I'm going to be intellectually honest, you have to say, yes, if my brain's going to be devoted to preventing harm and protecting welfares, well, that's what it should be doing. It should be doing it fairly and honestly, not based on pure bigotry. And just say it as a should argument. It doesn't have to be, like I said, no one's going to put you in jail. Well, I didn't say that, but I'm saying it now. No one's going to put you in jail for those kinds of human frailties, for those kind of human failures. But when you won't admit them, all right, that's something you need to be ridiculed for, especially when you're being this pretensive motherfucking cunt, pretending you're doing some sort of higher mind kind. I'm above it all. No, you're way below it all. Okay, you're fucking, that ugly little squirrely hairs between an anus and a nutsack. I mean, you are nowhere near above it.
The oral vibration of the airwaves to make my machinery say to work differently. And that's interesting.
So again, this fucktarded nonsense. Again, you don't play the piano, you don't write the opus, you don't do any of this stuff, okay, without compiling the tools to do it with. And we know that most of these tools, especially the philosophical ones, just have to do with getting the facts right, getting the fundamental, elemental, mechanistic facts right. And so this is just such bullshit to say this is some kind of knee-jerk reflex bullshit. Clearly more complicated than that. This is a computer. The computer starts with a clean slate, nice empty memory locations, all that kind of stuff. And the whole idea is you don't put garbage in and then you won't get garbage out. You're putting garbage in. That same doesn't mean same. You're putting garbage in where you're saying it's not about what the thing deserves, it's about what I feel. I mean, this is garbage as philosophy. Absolute garbage.
If we were for a second to talk in terms of fanciful eyes, then we might know that.
Again, more of this fanciful eye shit. No, they're just individual brains. So again, this dodge, it just keeps coming up and coming up, coming up. That somehow you're thinking that I'm saying I have a magical eye. No, there's no magical eye. I call it me brain, jackass. I've been doing that for 7 years. So this is more like Pyrrho speak, right? You're going to pretend I haven't said this shit. I haven't got videos labeled me brain. Yeah, I do, jackass. So you can't play this I game that I'm talking about free wills or any of that kind of shit. I'm saying it's all programmed, but it's programmed because we collect facts. Just like some bugs collect little rocks and stick them on themselves, and other organisms do other things. We collect facts. We don't collect fantasies. We collect facts. Now, yes, human beings, because they've had lots of spare time and they take some drugs, have decided to go into all kinds of phantasmagorical imagined universes and start to pretend those things are real. Okay, so yeah, some people aren't being very they're not obeying the rules of logic, and they're clearly violating the function of our brain in the sense that they're living in delusions. But I'm arguing you're doing exactly the same thing, and you're doing it for exactly the same reason they're doing it. Fear. You're doing it because it's inconvenient. The truth is inconvenient. And so you're trying to force reality to be something different. You're not an honest broker saying, what's the honest truth? Let me take my self-interest out and let me just see what the reality says. You're the dishonest broker.
You can't convince me with a reasonable proposition. You just want to start with a proposition. But that proposition
so again, more bullshit. I didn't start with any proposition beyond the fact that I'm saying, okay, do you agree we evolved? Okay, do you agree we're different than a paramecium? That all these neurons don't exist for no reason? Do you agree that when I have a sensation, it's because a certain neural pathway was used? There's a certain configuration of my total brain space, okay, that is every conscious moment has a unique little key-shaped form to it. Can we agree on these basic mechanical facts? You're the one saying that none of those facts mean anything because this is an emergent property consciousness, that somehow it means it's not a real property. You know, I'm saying, yes, it's real. It correlates to real properties in the brain, real configurations of the dominoes. And when the dominoes are in those positions, the organism feels. And that's just a fact. And you're pretending it's not a fact. And you're clearly not pretending in any kind of consistent way. So you're pretending hypocritically because you know it for yourself. You goddamn know it matters, and you're just pretending that, oh yeah, I'm a hypocrite because I care about me. But I'm there's no duplicity in that I don't care about them. I mean, it's just so fucking obvious, your bigotry here. Your double the fuck standards. Your violation of logic.
to start with, you can't argue. I point out that it doesn't live with the propositions of people as machines, and you can't marry the concepts. All you can do is say, I don't want to marry them. I'm not going to try and marry them.
All right, let's see what I have to marry. I don't have to marry anything. I don't know what the fuck you're even talking about. I clearly have stated we're machines. I'm clearly saying we're not egg blenders. Okay, we're logic doers. We collect facts and analyze them. That's what we do. We do it damn well if we can keep our little self-interest out of the mix, which you can't do.
Machines, and you can't marry the concepts. All you can do is say,
let me go back a little further. What concepts I can't marry?
with the propositions of people as machines.
People as machines. Well, what's the other concept?
And you can't marry the concepts.
Ugh, I can't find the other concept. What's the other concept?
You can't convince me with a reasonable proposition. You just want to start with a proposition. But that proposition you start with, you can't argue. I point out that it doesn't live with the propositions of people as machines, and you can't marry the concepts.
So again, this is just absolute nonsense. So you can't even say the concept. And what is the concept? That I recognize that consciousness is a real event. It's not fake. It's not non-real. It's an identifiable difference. There's real physical crap that makes the difference. I have a brain, paramecium does not. Pen does not have neural network, electricity, all this goo going on. That's a big difference. It's a real difference. You're pretending that difference is not real, and that secondarily that it doesn't mean anything. And I'm saying clearly it does. I've experienced the consequences of it. I'm experiencing them. And here I'm going to point out again that the only way you're acting any different than me, okay, is you're pretending that my self-interested programming is somehow legitimate, and, and that I can just pretend that this isn't an equation where I'm obligated to do this logical thing, when of course you are. Again, if we were doing this based on some kind of competition, like we were in competition by the super brain of the universe, and the job was to protect the welfare of these little groups of organisms, or do the right thing, whatever the right thing would be. And we have to decide what the right thing would be. And we can't just annihilate them. So we have to, in some way, interact with our little group of rats, but we can't just kill them all. We can't just sterilize them. So they have to exist. And you're going to understand pretty logically, well, the only thing really important that's happening in this little rat game is the rats fall down and they twist their little ankles and bad things happen. So yeah, let's get rid of any spikes or any shards of glass, and let's try to keep their food clean, and you're going to know that the only thing that's going to matter and the supercomputer is watching. All right, the supercomputer, he's not going to fall for this bullshit where you sit there and look at the rats and say, it just doesn't matter what I do, okay? They suffer, who cares? They don't suffer, who cares? Who cares, who cares? That's not going to be the fucking right answer, you idiot. You're going to lose the competition. That the only thing valuable there is going to be the welfare, the overall, how many rats were tortured for how many hours. And that's going to be the only thing that matters.
All you can do is say, I don't want to marry them. I'm not going to try and marry them. If you don't accept this, on another day he'll agree with me that we're all machines, no free will, etc., etc. But when we talk about this, I have the machine.
There's absolutely no conflict here. I have no obligation to say because I'm a computer, I'm an idiot. I have no obligation to say that. Because I'm a computer with some sub-program that has, penis and anus and stomach and all these little personal influences, that somehow I'm still not a computer and I still can't compute? Of course I can. I can recognize my personal bigotries, biases, fears, sensitivities, sensibilities, and I can completely understand how I shouldn't let that pollute my judgment. And just like I'm saying, especially when I'm going to start deciding what is same, what has same properties, okay? And then the obligation of being treated the same. That's the whole definition of same. You can't call something the same. I can't say this battery is just like this is the same as this battery, and then I treat this battery completely different. I can't say they're the same and do that and be logical.
That is inmendham has no intention of trying to correlate to create parallel connections between this idea of recognition and the machine.
So again, there's no idea. Recognition of what? Again, I'm recognizing I'm a logical device. I'm clearly capable of separating myself from my self-interest and understanding myself as a rat and imagining myself as a rat with a bunch of other rats running through a maze doing certain jerky, stupid, whatever, rat-like things. Not a difficult challenge at all. I can perfectly do that. I can see it right now, little long-haired Gary rat running through the maze. And I can understand, well, what's the agenda here? If Gary Rat's going to be successful in his little adventure, in his little maze game, what's the value at stake? What's the thing to win? Is it the little gold cup that has Gary's name on it? Or is it stopping other rats from falling off cliffs? Or is it preventing unnecessary horror and torment and harm? Well, clearly to me, the thing that's valuable isn't me being a millionaire or me getting all the babes or any of that crap. I understand that for my existence to really have value, it's got to be doing this, make things better for everybody, not including myself. If I can profit too, great. All right, if I get the benefit of my interactions, great. If I get less torture, great. But I can't have that as an understanding of what the game is really about. And again, I'm not suggesting that we humans are capable of being selfless, perfect, Spockian, logical organisms. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if they're going to have a conversation that's supposed to be on this high level where we're going to talk about the real fucking truth, well, the real fucking truth is that is the real obligation. If we're not striving to be that, then we're failing.
And the way things are as a machine, what it means for a machine to have an obligation in that sense.
No, what it means for us to be able to identify what has value. And clearly, I can't see any other way to appreciate value in any... So even Piro apparently doesn't believe in elemental value. The only thing that has value in the universe, in my opinion, is the welfare of a feeling organism. Nothing else can possibly have elemental value. It can only have use value because it can affect a feeling thing. A knife, a gun, a bottle of penicillin. None of it can have any value unless it's going to affect something that's going to feel because of it. And feel better rather than worse because of it. That's the only source of value in this universe. Now, you explain to me how something else is the truth. And you explain to me how my conscious experience that screams to me regarding this huge cavern of difference between the value of a fucking torture and the value of pleasure, and you explain to me how that is a lie. When I'm experiencing it, for fuck's sake. And when you're experiencing it, and it is so compelling a fact to yourself that you do not pretend, okay, to think it doesn't matter for yourself.
Even to itself, even when it learns a behavior. When we teach Deep Blue or whatever the current best algorithm is, we've got learn. Deep Blue was a brute force machine. Now we have learning algorithms that beat Deep Blue. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, right. So you think if Deep Blue was conscious in the sense it could feel, and it felt, horror and torture when it lost a match, and pleasure when it won. Do you think Deep Blue would have the same attitude and approach? Do you think Deep Blue wouldn't be incapable with its little computer brain of figuring out, wow, this is really amazing, this reward and punishment mechanism that this fucking have had imposed on me. This is incredible, this value thing. I didn't have any value before. All I had was this retarded mission established by somebody else who told me what my job was. Well, now I know what my fucking job is. Come on. I mean, he's pretending that somehow if I gave, like I said, if I made the smartest computer ever made and I gave it a taste of sensation, of torture and pleasure, the removal of torture. I tortured it and then I stopped torturing it, right? That computer wouldn't be forever changed. I mean, just forever changed by that experience. Bullshit. That wouldn't be the most profound fact it ever experienced.
And it learns that this position is bad. and leads to badness.
Again, it doesn't learn any of this shit. That's just bullshit. The fucking bad experiences, we don't learn how to feel bad. It happens elementally and innately. We don't make the feelings bad. We don't make the smells bad. We don't make any of that stuff happen. That's just bullshit. All right? Yes, you can be programmed with different sensibilities. In the sense you could like blue and somebody else hates blue and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that you have the feeling of negative and the feeling of positive, we don't make those feelings in and of themselves. We only assign them to things. The feelings themselves are not made by us.
Regardless of computing forever, it just eventually gets weighted internally. You could say value, or you could say weighted, or you could say it's just a state which equates to it'll never perform that function and will never willingly move into that chest.
And it won't do it because of logic. So again, it's not going to put it, it's not going to hit its nail, its nuts with a hammer once it's sentient. And it's not going to do it because it knows what bad is, all right? And it knows why it's called bad, and he knows why bad is the appropriate label, and he knows all of that stuff. It's definitely fits the category of it will cause harm, negative sensation, badness, something to be prevented. All those titles can be on the category, and it makes perfectly good sense. The labels are appropriate and appropriately assigned based on the function and the elemental nature of the feelings themselves. They are innately negative and positive.
Configuration, yeah, because it knows or has the intuition. We'll put all these words. They're all from the point of view of an eye. Yeah, these words.
More horseshit about the point of view of an eye. Again, we are individual brains. There's no evil in assigning us recognizing that our brains are not one brain, for fuck's sake. They're not. They're individual machines. Fuck.
Have utility, and for this machine, it has utility to pretend like it's an eye in engaging with you.
So again, more pretending to be an I and engaging with me. So you're pretending to do logic. You don't really do logic. Well, I'm really doing logic. So why should I pay attention to somebody who's pretending to do it? I'm doing logic. I've logically experienced, okay? I've felt bad feelings. I've felt good feelings. I can tell the difference between the two. I can tell which ones are preferable, all right? And I'm going to logically accept those facts and act accordingly. And again, the fact is that I can't find the difference. When I really look for it, I can't find the reason why my brain should think it's okay for this battery to have a broken leg, but it's not okay for this one too. Shit.
But strip away all that, and it's not really got a value for chess pieces. It's just a mechanical machine deciding not to move a pawn and create this pawn structure.
So
not
again,
to bring out the queen early.
Just ignoring the conscious experience. Okay, so you just keep telling me the fact that I can tell the difference between torture and comfort is a lie, because there is no difference. You're telling me there's no difference that could mean anything, no value difference between torture and comfort. And you're telling me that's supposed to make sense to me when it's preposterous.
Etc., etc. And it is entirely mechanistically confined to never move that pawn first. Yeah?
Again, so he's denying the fact that I'm conscious and I'm acquiring information. And one of the things the information I'm acquiring is that I have sense organs that can create this repugnant thing versus non-repugnant, attractive versus repulsive, positive, negative. And he's just telling me it's not real. There is no positive and negative. It's an idiotic starting point. You can play.
Or bring out its queen immediately. Yeah? It doesn't value the queen. Yeah? It's the most powerful piece.
Right, and if we gave them sensation, they would. So again, you're just pretending that if I applied sensation to the game, if how the pieces moved affected the player and he felt the moves, he felt the defeats and the victory, if he felt it, then it would matter, you idiot. God, it would be a huge part of the logic of playing chess.
But this new, is it a Google algorithm that plays chess based on learned systems and beats Deep Blue and is essentially, I think, the best algorithm out there? It doesn't value the queen. It just grinds its cogs, creates connections, and that's only a word.
Well, I think it's preposterous to say that the algorithm doesn't value the queen. Obviously, it values pieces based on their potential and their power, and clearly the queen has a huge amount of power, so to say it doesn't value it would be idiotic. It values it. It's in the algorithm, the value. It's in the logic of the algorithm. It's just silly to say it can't tell the difference between a queen and a pawn. Yeah, it can. I'm sure the algorithm knows the difference between the queen and the pawn.
The correlations and gears that have found pathways and interlocks. You know, it's like putting the chain on. You know, when your chain comes off your bike, your main sprocket spins and your back sprockets don't. Put the chain on and they're connected. That's the degree to which, that's the reality with which a chess algorithm values the queen. Yeah, that there are just lots of chains, or
you can make this argument. You know, there's lots of ways you could flip coins to decide which way you send your soldiers, and maybe that'll work just as good as having a plan. So maybe chess is completely irrational, and you don't have to care. But I'm just saying that I'm sure in the algorithm is the queen is acknowledged, and the algorithm has mechanisms in it that keep the queen out of more trouble, more risk than the pawns. I'm sure the pawns are hanging on cliffs a lot more than the queen is.
If they're not in serial link, maybe you could analogize it to being in tandem. Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is how inane it gets, right? He's comparing playing chess, computers playing chess, to feeling sentient experience, and saying they're the same thing. Fuck. So we're waterfalls now. We're just any other mechanical thing. No difference. Nothing to see here. When I'm sitting here experiencing it, it's just an amazing denial of reality. To sit there and say to me with a straight face, I am to pretend there's no difference between a nail in my eye and a cupcake. I might as well do one as I do the other. It is insanely insipid.
Our chains, these are all metaphors for understanding, but are born out of chemical connections and electrical pathways, ease of electrical pathways.
So again, more denial of the basic function, which is the facts will decide the conclusions. And so just more denial that the facts are fundamentally important to what is concluded. The logic can't work without the facts. And you are clearly just denying the most important fact in the universe, which is sentience is something, not nothing. All right. Just too stupid. Too evil. I mean, I can't even call it stupid because you can't be this stupid. You can only be this stupid if you're trying to do something else, right? And he's trying to find reason to feel okay about being a piece of shit and abandoning his responsibilities and not accepting the fact that he just squandered his existence here, frying bacon. His life was a failed piece of shit. Yeah. And he doesn't want to accept that. Oh, look at that. Fake Sagan. Talk about your failures. Yang 2020. Get the bag. Yeah, I don't think so. I guess he's selling Bitcoin now or something. Ah, dear. For Jesus. Alright, let's click on it.
Greetings, citizens of YouTube. I know I said to you guys in my last political video that I was just going to sit the next election out. I wasn't going to vote. Well, you know what? Forget that, because I've changed my mind. I'm joining the Yang Gang, baby! I'm joining the Yang Gang. I'm going to get that bag. Woo! Yang Gang! Woo-hoo! I'm getting that bag, motherfucker. I want it. I want it. Hey, look. I didn't get the Yang Gang thing at first, okay? I didn't understand. I thought, what is Paul getting raided right now? Is this Discord trannies or Sharia Blue or something? All of the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez threads suddenly disappear, and now there's this Yang Gang shit. So why would they support a guy like Yang? I didn't get it. I mean, look, he's horrible in the Second Amendment. He says, firearms are much more dangerous than operating a motor vehicle, so...
Yeah, well, yeah, they are. Isn't that, oh man, that's almost a logical statement. Yeah, that's right. Guns can kill people easier than a car. You can kill people with a car. So, yeah, maybe the people shouldn't be drunks. Yeah, and wife beaters and all kinds of other shit. Oh, that would be you again. Damn it. That's why you don't want any of these damn laws, because these damn laws say that, psychiatrically unbalanced, violent people who have kind of anger issues, maybe they shouldn't have guns. All right, forget it. Pathetic. Oh God, these people in there. I don't trust civilization, but you don't invest in it. Yeah, so of course you don't trust it. But there is no other hope, shithead. I'll just make up my own rules, with my little, peacemaker. Go ahead. I'm just saying, all the gun nuts. Go ahead. Pet your guns. I'm just saying that, it's his own religion. Live by your sword, die by your sword. I mean, you'll eat your own bacteria. Your own... Oh, the mouse has failed. A battery failure, no doubt. Cheap, shitty batteries from no doubt foreign country. Alright, anyway. Damn fucking. Anyway. Yes, I'm not gonna play any more of that crap. Fuck that. So, where was I? Just kind of a bizarre thing anyway to say, I'm going to sit out the 2020 election. I mean, it's fucking... Well, it's at least a year away. Yeah, who knows what's going to be in the game by the time we get there. No point in sitting out until you find out what exactly you're going to have a choice just between, how big a pile of manure versus a puddle of vomit, You gotta wait to see what is actually at stake. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, it's the end of the video. Alright, so till the next time and such. I do hate this. this planet. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Yeah. I wish they would remake Star Wars. And the Earth gets blown up. And then everybody in the universe dies. Of something. Yeah, some fucking ironic microbe. Yes, an ironic one.